Martha Mitchell. She was a very colorful character. Okay. Now, I first got to kind of know her when I was a kid at the time. I was like in junior high school. And she was known for being a big mouth and for saying things that were kind of conservative off the wall. We're saying, like liberals were worse than Soviet communists. For being angry about some feminist, with her being appointed to some position with her supposedly ultra liberal ideas. Okay. And she would make very, these statements, that were real conservative, but also very, off the wall in the sense that, like she said that, that she wanted to trade our liberals for Soviet communists because they thought our liberals were worse than the Soviet communists. Those things like that. And I think John Mitchell at one point said that he was afraid to open up a Playboy for fear that Martha Mitchell would be in the centerfold. She was quite pretty, although kind of past the age and not quite the type that Hugh Hefner would put in the centerfold. But anyway, people did joke about her a lot, make fun of her. And I also was watching this talk show where you had like a conservative named, I think, Regis Philbin, and then a liberal named Stan Borman. And they were reading this thing that was supposedly a quote from Martha Mitchell that said, "Help, I am a political prisoner." It was something that she said to a journalist named Helen Thomas. And Dan Borman was obviously laughing about it, like he thought it was a nutty Martha thing. Okay, it turned out to be true. It turned out that she was trying to blow the whistle on some of the Watergate activities. What she called the dirty business of politics. Okay, and she had been attacked and beaten for that. Later on, oddly, it became very weird when in an interview with David Frost, Richard Nixon tried to blame Watergate on Martha Mitchell, on a whistleblower. She didn't plan that burglary, that break-in. She didn't plan that cover-up. But he said that if John Mitchell had been distracted by the problems that Martha Mitchell had, he would have been minding the store. That was the way Nixon put it. That was a very, very startling thing to say, and very bizarre, because really it was quite opposite. I just don't see how she could bear any responsibility for Watergate. She did have maybe a drinking problem, possibly some mental problems, and certainly, she was called Big Mouth or Mouth of the South. And did tend to say off the wall things, but none of that caused the Watergate break-in, which she obviously did not plan or plot, nor did it cause the cover-up. It's kind of bizarre to blame a crime or a series of crimes on someone who was a whistleblower of those crimes. And at her funeral, there was a wreath of flowers, and some of the flowers were formed in a way to put out the message. Martha was right. She was.